Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
Welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. But for a radio audience tuning in here at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com, we're glad that you all can be with us. Also, tuning in to our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcast. We're glad you all could be with us as well. As we've been talking to you guys about, May is recognized for a lot of things, including Mental Health Awareness Month. And I'm really excited about this next segment because we get to talk about an important topic, that being schizophrenia. About 2.8 million adults in the U.S. live with this serious and complex brain disorder, and if left untreated, schizophrenia can disrupt a person's relationships, their physical health, and even their plans for the future. But there is hope for people who have schizophrenia in leading a normal life with the right type of support and treatment. Joining us to discuss the importance of managing schizophrenia is Jonathan Llamas. He's a certified psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner and doctor of nursing practice. Jonathan, thank you so much for the time today. Really do appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Jonathan, this is a very important topic. We had a segment earlier this month talking about schizophrenia, and it's someone sharing their own experience with living with it and their journey. And I think our audience really was impressed. Not only I think but how all of us, I think, are impacted in some way by either knowing someone or knowing, of course, what it is ourselves. Let's talk about exactly what it is. Talk to us about exactly what is considered schizophrenia.
Of course. So for many of us who may not be familiar with what schizophrenia is a very complex and chronic brain disorder in which, like you mentioned, has affected approximately 2.8 million adults living in the U.S. today. And schizophrenia is actually characterized by distortions in the way that people think, in the way that they behave, as well as the way that they perceive the world around them. As a psychiatric nurse practitioner, I do work closely one-on-one with adults living with schizophrenia on a daily basis. And one of the things that I want to share with you is the fact that everyone is going to manifest their symptoms differently depending on the severity of their symptoms as well as their unique circumstance. Now, in regards to schizophrenia itself, when people think about it, people may think about what they see in popular culture. They may think about the things that they see in television or in the movies, but that's not necessarily entirely true or accurate, which is why I'm really excited today to be partnering with Janssen Pharmaceuticals to hopefully discuss a little bit more about some of the treatment options that we currently have available to hopefully help people who are struggling with schizophrenia better manage their symptoms on a daily basis.
Love that. I'm looking forward to that as well, Jonathan. So I want to talk about how it does impact their lives. What are some of the challenges that adults that are living with schizophrenia face, Jonathan?
So due to the fact that schizophrenia is very complex, if their symptoms are left untreated, it can cause cycles of disruptions, which can make the individual have difficulty not only taking care of themselves, but also maintain positive and healthy relationships with the people that they care about. It can also make it difficult for people to even function just simply on a daily basis and even plan for the future. And since schizophrenia is still very widely misunderstood, there's still a lot of stigma associated with schizophrenia as well, which can discourage patients to seek out help or treatment out there for fear of maybe feeling ashamed, for fear of maybe feeling mislabeled or misjudged by others. So as healthcare providers, it's very important for us to have our one-on-one conversations with our patients to hopefully let them know that there is help available to them and that there is treatment options available to them to help them manage their symptoms as well.
Jonathan, one of the questions that we get here, and I'm glad that I have you here to be able to talk about, is this something that is connected with age as well, or can anyone be impacted by schizophrenia?
So that's a really good question. And for schizophrenia specifically, I believe it's very multifactorial. There's no really specific cause for schizophrenia, but there's a lot of different factors that could influence that. So some of the things I like to tell people is that there's obviously a genetic predisposition there, but there's also can be a psychological component, a physiological component, as well as environmental factors that contribute that as well. So just having one factor doesn't mean that you're going to get it per se, but it's very important for us to be mindful that it's important how we take care of ourselves. It's important for us to make sure that we are surrounding ourselves with the right people. And in terms of age, it can affect anyone and everyone. Typically, I know age can vary as early as 20 years old and such. But again, a lot of that can be influenced by a lot of these other factors, like I mentioned.
That's great to know. And so because it does impact the lives of so many, Jonathan, you mentioned treatment options. So what treatment options are available for those who are living with schizophrenia?
So in terms of treatment options, our first line of treatment typically are oral antipsychotic medications. And while oral antipsychotic medications can be very helpful, one of the biggest downsides of oral antipsychotics is the fact that you would have to take the medication on a daily basis. I don't know about you, but for anyone to take oral medication, sometimes the biggest thing or the hardest thing for them is remembering to take them on a daily basis. So you can only imagine for people who are struggling with schizophrenia just how challenging it is for them to remember to take the medication on a consistent basis. So to help counteract that, something that we really find very helpful as an alternative treatment option that we have is what we like to call long-acting injectables, or LAIs for short. And an example of LAIs is the Janssen LAI portfolio, which includes the Invega Sustenna, which is a 1 month long-acting injectable. There's also the Invega Trinza, which is a 3 month acting injectable. And we have a new medication as well called Invega Hafyera, which is actually a 6 month long-acting injectable. And the really cool thing about Invega Hafyera is that there was a recent study, open-label study actually, that found that 96.1% of patients who actually took the medication actually remained relapse-free. So that's very promising, specifically for the schizophrenic community, especially for people who have a hard time remembering to take their medications or a hard time maintaining compliance with the medications. But with all of that being said, of course, with all medications, there's always going to be risk associated with any medication. So it's very important for anyone who is interested in taking long-acting injectables to speak to the healthcare provider first to determine if this is the right choice for them.
Well, that is great to know that is available, the long-acting injectables, Jonathan. I'm sure that does help people to know that that's something that they can be able to do, and it's an option available. As you mentioned, talking to their doctor is going to be important. Really appreciate this time, Jonathan, today. Any final thoughts you want to share with our audience, not only, of course, about the importance of knowing what schizophrenia is, but also realize what's available to them if they've been diagnosed with or know someone who's living with it?
Yeah, I think you said it earlier. I mean, and you said it very eloquently. If anyone who is out there who is struggling with schizophrenia or knows a loved one who is struggling with schizophrenia, that there is really hope and there is really support and treatment available to them. So what I would definitely encourage our listeners to do is anyone that is interested to definitely visit the website JanssenSchizophreniaInjections.com. And if you are having symptoms or know someone who is having symptoms, I would definitely encourage them to speak to their healthcare provider, to speak to their psychiatric nurse practitioner or their psychiatrist, and so that they can have open discussions about which treatment option would be best for them.
All right, Jonathan Llamas again has been our guest. Jonathan, thank you again for the great work that you're doing and for the time today. Really do appreciate it, and looking forward to having you back on the broadcast again. Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Glad to do it. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live, part of a News You Can Use segment here at WYAD, as we are discussing a very important topic, that being Mental Health Awareness Month. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Let's go make today amazing. Take care.